We are discussing the concept of radium right now. Already we have started and we have written even radium module and additionally mm, style root is a submodule of radium which is a component. In this style root component you have to write the total set of statements which has to come out. Okay, let us open. Let us wait its opening. Please wait maybe. And of course, I'm just copying the next concept files of form validation. I mean, it's just have created React form validation app. So it's just copying. I have to hold on for a few minutes. Okay, please hold on for just once it completed, then we'll try to open. Okay. Okay, it's opening. Let us wait. Once it is done, then we'll open. Okay. In this meanwhile, if you have any doubts or queries, what we have discussed so far, please let me know. Are you all practicing the things what we are discussing? Okay, let me do one thing. Let me. Right. So we have already written a style route, and now let us do one thing. Let us open that output. Of course, anyway, we have to see now output, even though if we write the coding, or else let us do one thing. Let us write the code and we open that output later. We have a button right now. We have created that action part. When user clicks on this button, it has to change that styling. Okay. But before clicking, when user is hovering a mouse, then also it has to do some changes. So in that case, how we can create? Go to the button, I mean, which we have created, button style, and additionally here hover, hover, right? Additionally, what are the properties that you want to change? I'm just writing here, for example, background. Let it be same light red color, and at the same time, I want make it something color. Okay, this is when we did not. I mean, when you open that output and it is a normal state and it is a hovering state. But when you click on it, we are entering into that now. So when we are entering into that, and if you even want to change, that is after entering, that is after clicking that button, we are changing these styles. But at the same time, we want to change. Now observe BTN style of colon hover and that equals to background color, make it something RGB A 0 0, or else we can say 0 to 55 RG and 0 0.3. Additionally, color, make it something. Let us think something let it be border as it is. Okay, so we are done without, sorry, before clicking the button hovering concept, with after clicking that hovering concept, and we want to see these details. So let us run. So npm space start. Let us wait. Right. Okay. It's not showing an output. It should show something. Let us do one thing. Localhost colon 3 triple 0. Okay. Here. No problem. Don't worry. Anyway, that we have. Okay. Observe without sorry before clicking the button, we have defaultly with white color background, that opacity less and background so border and something. When we place a mouse over, we are done. Hovering effect. We have written this hovering effect here, right? Okay. Then after clicking that button, we have given some other thing, green color background and some other color of something we have done. When after entering into the show persons, we have default state of style and additionally hovering style. This is a methodology that you can write with the concept of a radium package. Okay, additionally to this, we even can set something, what you can say, resolutions, that, or you can say auto adjustment. Defaultly it is showing too much width right now, and we want to make it something irrespective of resolution how it has to show. Let us do one thing. As we want to the person concept. So in the person.js, or else you even can go with the, what you can say, person.css also. In the person.js, write something const person style, and that equals to single quotes or double quotes at the rate of media. In this, if it is minimum width of, for example, the meaning of this one is, if the resolution is minimum 576, then apply the width up to 520 pixels only. We are just writing. And this person style, let us apply, as it is a variable now. So style, and that equals to person style. Then when we click on it, right, adjusted now. The previous it is too much width. If you want to make it something even just 420 only, of course it's not correcting, because reducing too much is also not correcting, but make it something for our understanding purpose. And then, right, it adjusted. So minimum width we have written. Minimum resolution width is 576, but maximum it can be of even 1200 also. But finally, if it is minimum 576, then apply the content width of each and every person detail in 420 pixels only. This is just to know how we can implement the concept of a radium without a radium. Also, using CSS, you can write the concept of styling and hovering and media queries like this, everything. Okay, but actually, as we have started in the very beginning onwards, from the beginning onwards, we have discussed the concept of what you can say CSS with general writing a general CSS properties and everything. So we just wants to see another methodology how they have provided that React.js module, which is a Radium, sorry, not React.js module, how they have provided Radium module, which they have make it something as styling and as well hovering and as well writing immediate queries, everything. So we have done with this concept. So mostly members will be using with the concept of radium and the coming further example. So in these examples, we have discussed too many points right now. And now to make it something a new concept, that is, we want to now create a concept of form validation. That's why I just recently copied the things. Then just create hyphen react hyphen app and whatever that you want the name. I just created the name React Form Validation app. In this, we will use the concept of validating inline. That is, when user is typing, it has to check it whether it is properly entered by user or not. And additionally, this functionality will apply with the concept of bootstrap also. What we have discussed in the beginning with how a bootstrap that will work. So let me do one thing. Okay. But one thing, initially or defaultly, the Bootstrap package is not at all installed in your application. You just have to type the command. Let me tell you. These are normal React and React DOM, React scripts like this. But Bootstrap and React Bootstrap. First, you need to write. Let me write here the command to install the required thing of Bootstrap. It's not mandatory, but we want to make it something a nice styling with form design, with table design inside that form. That's why npm space install space react hyphen bootstrap hyphen hyphen save. After this npm space install space bootstrap. Either you can leave like this, or else if you want to insert, I mean, if you want to install a particular version, then you can just write at the rate of symbol or either 3 or 4. Of course, defaultly it will install 4 version only because it's running currently, right? You, if you want to go with 3 or something else, then you can go like this, or else you can leave it. And then, so after these two lines, then In the package.json, you will be getting React Bootstrap and Bootstrap. I just installed the version 3 point something else. It is installed in my system. I mean, in my application. Okay. So we are done, which we want to work with the concept of a bootstrap. Then let us open the concept of what you can say an app.js. Here, instead of directly writing that form functionality, we just want to create a component. We know already how to create a component. Okay, as of now, we want to work with only one component. So in the SRC itself, I can create instead of again creating a separate folder. Okay, then let me do one thing. Let me create in the SRC folder itself a new file naming that form validation.js. Additionally, if you want something styled for form validation, you even can also create form validation.css also. Okay. Now, now come to the point of first, we can see we write the concept of form validation. Then that component will be imported into the app. Import React component from React module. And if you want styling, you can just create separate file and import that styling, that name of the styling. For timing, let us go with anyway that we are working with the Bootstrap. It will be having basic styling. So write a class and name what is the name of that component we have created form validation. So write form validation which extends the component and the concept of first let us write a render. In this render write a return and the class name and that equals to we know the classes right now container and classes class name and that equals to row. Inside this row let us create the column sm-3 that is then we just have created three columns, one with small left hand side column something like this, right hand side something like this, and in middle. Okay, now here we want to start off designing a form along with the table. So first let us open a form element. And if you want a name something else and that equals to something we have written form validation. Okay. And about this, let us write a table class name table space table hyphen bordered. In this, we just wants to create the call span, something heading, let us write. Okay, we let us work with the concept of fields like email address and password validations. Of course, once we done with the concept of email address and password, we the same way username also or else full name or else age or anything. For drop downs and checkboxes, it's not a custom validation right now. We can just say whether it is if the user is selected that is having some value or is no value. So for that, you don't need to write any inline validations. So only text fields that we can implement clearly. That's why I just want to create here the concept of email address and what you can say password. So let us write here. Then input type and that equals to let it be text only because anyway we want to make it custom validation. Input type text, name equals to email address, then value equals to, and at the same time we want to make it something a nice effect. So from hyphen control. Then the same way, let us write a password. Then And then let us create a button, a class name, sorry, call span we can write here, call span 3. And here we want to create a button effect right now. So button type equals to submit, and then class name, and that equals to btn space btn hyphen primary, or whatever you want. And okay, let me write here button name. So basic we have done with form designing, and let us first export this and this form validation component and that implement in the app. First we see that design, and then we start up writing what you can say functionality. So export default the name of that component. Then now let us okay, let it be class app, and then okay, no, not required, because anyway that you have already set everything in the form validation itself. So you can just give a name, form validation. Mm, that's it. Because anything, sorry, anyway, that you have written heading and form design, everything, and that to center. So you are done with form validation as it is given. Now you have to write the concept of first. Let us just see an output, and we start off writing that functionality. Okay, npm space start. Okay, just let us wait for few seconds. Okay, so let us see now. Localhost. Why it is not installed? Okay, let us do one thing. In the index.js file, we expected something in the center of the page right now because we have even written constructor and so on, statement, sorry, container and so on, properties for classes. Okay, no problem. And then now after, sorry, in the index.js file, import bootstrap. From bootstrap, enter into the dist folder. In the dist folder, we have CSS folder. In the CSS folder, specify the file name bootstrap.css. And now, okay, okay, the table not having proper. What is it? Maybe at 3.4. What is the version we have installed here? 3.4 version. Maybe they have changed the property name, sorry, class name or something. Okay, no problem. Let us make it just a table. And to give something space for the form, something else, we even can also write mb-3 mm, mb hyphen yeah, the classes are not loading properly na. Let us do one thing. In the bootstrap, here css. Okay, let us do one thing. Let us go with the bootstrap dot min dot css. Okay, let us work about the styling or is the classes of bootstrap later. Now we give preference to the concept of functional path. Now, if you want to pass properties as an arguments to the parent class, then first you have to right? A constructor. We know a constructor is a built-in function and it is the first function will be given a call as soon as your component or as soon as your object starts its execution, right? In this constructor, if you have written props, the meaning of this statement is a constructor taking the props as an argument, first point. And in the constructor, if there is a built-in function which is called super, saying that it is giving a call to the parent class, first point. And if you have written props inside that, it is giving a call to the parent class along with the properties as a parameters, along with the giving a call to the parent class along with the properties as a parameters. And now what are the requirements? What are the parameters that we require or properties that we require means we are working with the concept of what you can say email and password right now. So let us create a state and that equals to email address is one of the property with an empty value. Password is another property with an empty value. First point. And we want to access these things in the input elements. So, so at the time of Bootstrap installation, maybe I have written a particular version 3 point something else. So it is installed, but there is something debugs the classes are not working. You even can give preference to the version 4 directly. So in that case, you can leave it. I mean, as I say here, just write like this: npm space install space bootstrap. Of course, first you need to install React Bootstrap. Then only you have to work with the Bootstrap. Okay. Then now, yes, coming to the point. Type name font control. Anyway, this class is not properly working. Okay. Now type equals to text and name equals to email address, and in place of value you can render a state dot email address. Additionally, write a placeholder something sample, and here also for password and make it here state dot password. Okay. Then now, okay, if you want even placeholder something, and you want these fields that should be mandatory. So what you can do, you can write additionally a required attribute in both places. Then You are done with a basic things, and now you want to create the concept of on change itself. Because of when user is typing, we have to check whether user is properly entering or not, or else user is skipping that field or not, like this validation. So to create that validation, let us write here on change event handler. On change, and that equals to, we will give a call to what you can say user defined method. So you know that how to give a call with a this. Why this is going to refer to the class name which is called form validation, because here a form validation is acting as a main class, right? So under that form validation only you are going to give a call. So write something handle user input. The same way, let us write on change this dot handle user input. As you have given a call when user is typing, it has to give a call to the handle user input method. So just write here handle user input, and that equals to the event which user is typing, a typing event or on change event, and write its definition. But we have took these two properties which it has to show the values, right? Along with this concept, we have to even take a validating validating properties also. What you can do here is in the constructor, let us add in the state itself form errors, which acting as an object holding sub properties of email address again and same password. If email address is error, form errors will be error. If password is error, form errors will be error. If both are error, then form errors will be error. And if we have to show an error messages, then for that purpose we just kept ready. Then to validate, right? It is a point of showing error messages, but we have to validate now. So let us take email address valid property. Additionally, we can say password valid. And by combining these two things, totally a form valid, meaning at the bottom we have given a button. If a total form is properly entered, maybe 2 fields or 10 fields, if total form is properly entered by user, that button should make it active, otherwise it should be disabled defaultly. For that purpose, we are going to write here form valid and just set here instead of making empty, set as false. Here also set as false and then set as false. Now you are ready with working validations, and that outputs that have to show the errors or not, it will be decided based on the user entries. Now come to the point of handle user input. Let us observe now here we have two input fields. Each input field is having its own variable, form variable, I'm saying. Form variable, and user is entering its value. So a corresponding form variable, its value that should validate. A corresponding form variable of password, its value that should be validated. For that purpose, you are creating a constant, a local variable's constant name is nothing but a form variable which we have given name equals to email address, name equals to password in the input elements now. So name and that event which user is typing in a particular input element of its what you can say name. The meaning of this statement is if user is typing in the password, the name of password will be copied or assigned to the variable. I mean constant. And its corresponding value we have to fetch now. So write a const value and that equals to event dot target dot value. With this, now you are giving a call to set state, opening, closing curly braces. And when you type something a square bracket, that is called a dynamically, the value will be changed. That means this is a variable. It will change based on the user entry colon its value. Let us do one thing. Let me write like this. So what we have done is we are taking we don't give guarantee user will start email address. User may enter anything. That's why when specifying square bracket, it may be a password, it may be an email address, and that corresponding value you are taking. Once you took that particular thing, then you are passing that details to validate. So you are giving a call from the set state of handle user input, validate particular field, right? If I am the user, I am entering the details in the password John123. That is going to pass in the what you can say validate field as name and value. Then, but one thing small mistake we have done. Let us do one thing. You are passing, but that should be enclosed in the curly braces, which you are giving a new method call this dot validate field of that particular maybe email address john at the rate of gmail.com its value or as password john123 its value. Then once we have given a call, it just immediately enter into the validate field and just checking that field name and field value. So if user is entering in the email address or username or password or age or URL, whatever it is, the name of that form variable and its corresponding value that you are passing to the validate field to check it out with regular expressions, how it is matching with the criteria or not. So let us create a local variables. Let field validation errors with this state dot form errors. We just copying form errors which are having empty fields into this local variable just to keep it because we have to update the error messages. Additionally, let email address valid and that equals to state dot email address valid. Let password valid and that equals to state dot password valid. So this is of error messages displaying with empty. This is of we are going to check whether user is defaultly we have set as false and whether user is checking properly entering or not. That will be either true or false in email address and in password. Now let us write here. Sorry. Switch field name. Then because of user is typing maybe email address or password or username or age or what you can say anything. Case if it is equivalent to email address, then we are ready to hold that output based on the criteria. What is the criteria? With field value that user is entering, you are writing a match built-in function. Here we will write that regular expression that is later we can copy and paste. And if user is properly entering, nothing else to show error. But if user is having error or something went wrong, then from the field validation errors, you are expressing in the email address, right? Form errors, whatever these two things we are having in the form errors, you just assigned to the field validation errors. So you have given a call from the field validation errors of email address that equals to if email address valid, which is this one, if email address valid question mark, we can say if that is true, nothing else to display error message. If it is false, we have to say is in invalid and then break. That's it. The same way, let us write case password valid is ready to take that what you can say field value dot if you even wants to check it out with a password, one character of lower or upper, something that the expressions that we even can copy and paste. What we have done in the JavaScript, we have done mm, mm, okay, the script.js it is having. This is what we want. So copy this one and make it in the match. And then for password, oh, too much of no problem. So just then okay. So and now with the field validation errors of a password that is ready to hold if user is properly done, no error message. If done something, then that error message we have to save in the password. So sorry, a password valid colon sorry question mark, if no error, some nothing else to display. If there is an error, is same invalid. Let it be for timing. But one thing, in both cases, whatever that field user is typing, that we will attach email address is invalid, password is invalid. How that we will attach? Let us write later. First, we got a clarity here, and then write a break statement. And if none of these, that is user is not at all entering anything, then make it something break. Additionally, based on these error messages, now you are giving a call this dot set state of form errors from the field validation errors. Then email address valid from the email address valid. Why? Because at line number 28, 29, and 30, you have took a default values and into the local variables and then some process from line number 32 to 40, and with that statements or maybe a false or true that you are updating or resetting in again into the properties of main. Getting my point? You just took a dummy values and done some process based on the user actions. You are just resetting its values. So once email address and then password valid, password. Based on this, you have to just give an information that error messages to display or not, right? So that is why for that purpose, I'm just making something here, validate form. This validate form, what it is doing, observe validate form. In this validate form, based on the set state, sorry, based on the both email address valid and password address valid, sorry, email address valid and password valid, we are going to set form valid, right? In the very beginning, we have written a form valid is a concept of based on this and this output, you are just setting this form valid. Finally, if both are true, form valid will be true. If anything is false, form valid will be false. That's why you are going to write here statement form valid state dot email address valid and state dot password valid. Okay. If both are true, form valid will be true. Otherwise, form valid will be false. And that is why we are now coming to the bottom form valid where a button we have. Here we will be updating. Now, for our understanding purpose, we are just making something divisions like this. Now, defaultly write a disabled attribute and that equals to logical not of state dot form valid. Meaning, if form valid is true, if you don't use logical not, then disable is getting true. Even though user is entering properly, you are disabling that button. That's why you have given an opposite. After all these things, then you just have to show the error messages. So let me do one thing. Let me create a new row and with the call span and that equals to something. Here we will display error messages. So for error messages, I just want to create a separate component. Let me create form errors. A form errors is a component which is taking the property of form errors from the state dot form errors. Right. Why we have written means form errors is holding email address and password. Email address is having error, then it has to show error message. Password is having error, it has to show its error message. If both are having, both have to show. If none of them, nothing else. Okay, this final point we will discuss in tomorrow's session. Okay, as we have
Uh,
given but not admitted.
I have a doubt.
Tell me
If I
please.
want to add, like, if I want to log in from the third party, like Facebook or Google, how to do that?
That you have to connect to the API link. Directly we can't do. We have to install a module and we have to connect to the API. Here we are just making a concept of what you can say custom validations only. Okay. Actually, that is not included in the course, but anyway, at the end point we will concentrate on this. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Right. Because we have few more things. That is how we can create a RESTful API and routing concept, and then creating the concept of Marinus stack, which is called we can say the Node, Express, MongoDB, and React. How we can create a front end and back end application, sorry, an application with this Marinus stack. We have to work out on this. So first, let us concentrate on these things, and once we complete of an Angular, also if you have even, I mean, at the completion of an Angular, irrespective maybe Angular or React. What you have asked is a concept that can be implemented. It's not only for React, it's not only for Angular. So I will give you a clarity at the end point. Okay, right then. So okay, then thank you and bye.